Hi, this is Josh Marshall from TPM Media. It's Tuesday, November 20th, 2007, and we're coming up on Thanksgiving, so before the holiday, we want to give you a quick roundup of where things stand and the key primary states are going to vote beginning of next year. For those of you who've watched these primaries before, you know that we're at the point now where things can really start happening very dramatically and very quickly. And the reason for that is a cliche, it's a cliche, but it's really a true one. That is that a lot of people don't start focusing until really late in the game. So you can have trends that have been in place through the spring, through the summer, up until now, and then suddenly things start to move. And that's because a lot of people are tuning in for the first time. Now let's go first to Iowa. On the Democratic side, basically the three top candidates, Obama, Clinton, and Edwards, have been more or less tied going back for some time now. Nationally, Hillary Clinton is way ahead. In most of the primary states, she's way ahead. But in this one little state of Iowa that happens to go first, they have a caucus first, it's all tied up. Now, just yesterday, a poll came out that for the first time showed Barack Obama ahead. Why is he suddenly making a move? Maybe it's because, like I just said, that a lot of people only tune in to the race late. Hillary's had a few off weeks, maybe that plays in too. So if Barack Obama wins that race, he's going to have a lot of the aura of momentum and victory around him, and that could really shake up the Democratic race. Now, on the Republican side, things are even a little more complicated. Mitt Romney has been ahead in Iowa for a long time, and most of the polls still show him ahead. But the person who's moving up on him is someone who wasn't even considered to be a serious candidate in this race, and that's Mike Huckabee, the former governor of Arkansas. Last week, there was actually one poll that showed Huckabee tied with Romney. Other polls have come out, and they all still seem to show Romney ahead. So it seems like that poll was an outlier. But Huckabee is clearly rising and coming on pretty strong against Romney. Now, what happens if Huckabee upsets Romney in the Iowa caucus? And remember, an upset can mean an outright win. It can also mean a really strong second. If it's been assumed for a long time that Romney's going to win, and he barely gets out ahead of Huckabee, that'll be seen as a big loss for him. Now, to understand the effect that would have, you got to understand Romney's larger strategy in the nomination. Mitt Romney has never been that strong in the national polls on the Republican side, but he's been doing really well in the first two states, Iowa and New Hampshire. Remember, New Hampshire is basically his own backyard in terms of media markets and stuff like that. The southern part of New Hampshire is really part of Massachusetts. Rudy Giuliani has a lot better name recognition nationally, and in the national polls on the Republican side, he's actually doing better. So Romney's whole strategy is based on pouring a lot of money into those early states, getting starting the election off, the primary elections off, with two big wins, having the momentum and carrying everybody before him. Now, what if that doesn't happen? Let's say that Romney is upset by Huckabee in Iowa. Shortly after that, you have the New Hampshire primary. He's going to come into that with the aura of defeat around him. If he doesn't have a really big victory in New Hampshire, he's probably out of the race. He's certainly not going to come off losses in Iowa and New Hampshire and then win South Carolina. So again, if you see it in the larger context of Romney's strategy, if Huckabee can upset Romney in Iowa, it could end the race for Romney because of the things that will probably fall right after that. Now, two other factors that have just come up in the last few days about Mitt Romney. There's a new poll out of New Hampshire that actually has Romney rising in New Hampshire, maybe not doing so well in Iowa, but rising in New Hampshire, and Rudy Giuliani falling like a stone. Now, Rudy's strategy in this race is he doesn't have to win those early two primaries, but if he really gets blown out, that's going to make it really hard for him to come back after the early primaries and catch up again on Super Tuesday, which is February 5th. Now, if all that weren't enough, going into Thanksgiving holiday, we've got this really weird mystery and potential scandal around Mitt Romney. Polls were being run in Iowa and New Hampshire that seemed to be testing anti-Mormon messages against Romney and also testing pro-McCain messages. Now, the Romney campaign found out about this. They went right to the press and complained that they were victims of some sort of push polling or anti-Mormon effort by one of their opponents, and they suggested that it must have been John McCain. In this case, oddly enough, the candidate with the most connections to the polling firm in question was Mitt Romney. So was Mitt Romney trial testing anti-Mormon questions against himself? Well, maybe so. Candidates do test attacks that they think other candidates may use against them. The problem is that the Romney campaign started off attacking their opponents for this. They've now denied it. So if it turns out that the Romney campaign, or more likely people close to the Romney campaign, were actually responsible for this, this could really become at least a big mini scandal for Romney and could really trip him up in what's a key period right before the main campaign period gets started. So there you have it, a very fluid primary race shaping up on both sides in two of the early states, New Hampshire and Iowa. And the key to understanding what's happening and how it's all going to shake out is to see all these different wild cards we have and how the results in one race can end up having a lot of effects on the other. You know, if Huckabee upsets Romney in Iowa, Iowa's one thing, but it could have a big effect in New Hampshire. So we're going to keep looking, keep sending us your comments, and we're reporting more for you soon. I'm Josh Marshall from TPM Media, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.